Okay, math fans, here we go with 6.2. This is using common factors in something that's called grouping. So here what you're going to find is you're going to have four terms. And can you see that in the screen? Oh, barely. It's okay. I'll move it up when we get there. Let's start. In example 1, they want you to remove the greatest common factor, and you'll notice that, oh, it's a little binomial. It's a group of two terms, so that's fine. We can remove it. So remember, we're thinking divide out what's common. 4a plus 1 comes out front. So if we're imagining dividing this by 4a plus 1 and this by 4a plus 1, then we get, that'll cancel, we're left with 9a, and these will cancel, and remember, something divided by itself is 1, and we've been lazy before and haven't put in the ones, but this one has to be there, and there we go. So, B part, we're looking, oh, our a minus 2, or sorry, a minus 6, that's the same. Let's factor it out, front, a minus 6. And now here, divided by a minus 6, that looks like a b. A minus 6 will leave us with 3a, because a minus 6 divided by a minus 6 will be 1. Take away a minus 6 divided by a minus 6 will be 1, and we'll just have the 9. And now we notice that we have a common factor in this second term. We can divide this by 3. So we'll move that 3 out front. And we'll have our a minus 6 still out front. And then divided by 3 will be a. Negative 9 divided by 3 will be negative 3. And we're done. Okay, D part. Here we see that our brackets are almost the same. We could make this part the same by dividing both of these by a negative, factoring that negative out front is really what we're doing, and combining it with the negative 4. Because if I look, I've got negative x, and this is positive x. And I've got positive 3, and this is negative 3. So if I divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1 in my mind, then this step, and I'll write it. You won't write this one every time, you'll just do it, but I'll write it for the first one. So 20x and x minus 3. And then we're going to do minus 4, and we're going to divide out a negative 1, and we'll have negative 3 plus x. This will combine together, and you will write 20x, x minus 3, plus 4, negative 3 plus x. Or if you wanted to switch it around so it looks the same, you could. Then, now we're looking, oh, I have a common factor with the brackets. So x minus 3, factor that out front, and we're left with 20x plus 4. And I'm always looking for more factoring, so here I'm noticing that I can take out a 4. That would be common to that bracket. So 4 out front, x minus 3 stays. Divide by 4 is 5x. Divide by 4 is plus 1. And we're done. Okay. So there are your notes for grouping. Pause the video and write those down. And now let's move on. So if we're actually doing the grouping now, let's go to example E at the bottom and we'll do the rules. And you should watch the video and then you should pause and you should try it, and then you should re-watch the video and see if you were thinking the exact same thing as me. So we're going to underline the first pair and the last pair. We're going to factor out what's common. So a p is common to both of those. Divide by p and divide by p. Here I can factor out a negative s. So negative s divided into this term is going to give me a q. And negative s divided into the second term will give me plus r. And that's what I'm looking for. My brackets are the same. Had I chosen to just take out an s at the beginning, I would have found that I had a situation similar to this, where I almost had the same thing and needed to factor out the negative. And now we're right back at this spot up here. So factor out what's common, q plus r, and we're left with p minus s for our other factor. F. Here and here. Then I'm going to factor out what's common. And I look, and I don't have anything common there. And I look here, I could take out a 3x, but if I took out a 3x, I would have a 5y squared, which wouldn't be the same as that anyways. And this is where this step comes in. Sometimes you have to rearrange. So I'm just going to put these 5 ones. So the 5x squared minus 15xy squared. I'm going to write those together. And then the 18 and the 6 together. Whoops. 18y squared minus 6x. And now let's try. So underline first pair, last pair. 5x squared. Whoops. Yep, I can note just a 5x. 5x. And then I've got an x minus 3y squared. Here I can take out a 3. And I'm going to have 6y squared minus 2x. I can take out more than that. I can take out a 6. And I knew I had done something not right because I was not getting brackets that were the same. So when that happens, you have to look and think, okay, I can take out something more or less or different, but somehow those brackets have to be the same, otherwise you can't factor it. So what if I take out a 6? Then I've got 3y squared minus 1x. So I don't need to write the 1. And I look and I realize, oh, it's almost the same. So I should have taken out a negative 6. That will give me negative here, positive here, and now the brackets are the same. So factor out the bracket, x minus 3y squared, and I'm left with 5x minus 6, and I look for further factoring, but there's nothing else I can do. The end. Okay, so in your book, 6.2, numbers 1, 4, 10 to 12. Hooray!